Welcome to Wasatch Weekends. It is Friday, January 5th, and I'm your host, Kimberly Perot. Our first full weekend show of the 2024 year. On today's show, I'm getting in the kitchen and showing you how to make a twice-baked stuffed potato, plus Katie Wang with the weekend updates at Park City Film. But before we get started, let's take a look at the snow forecast because we have some coming in. Now, it's Friday, and you know what that means. Katie Wang with Park City Film is here to talk all of the happenings this weekend and beyond. Katie, how are you this morning?
It's great to be here. Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. So we are in our first full weekend of the 2024. So what is going on with Park City Film?
Well, we're gearing up for the Sundance Film Festival, like all of Park City, of course. But before we close down and turn over to the festival and become the library venue, we've got a couple of great films programmed to remind everyone why they love independent cinema and get ready for, of course, the best films, new films of the year to come in through the festival. So this weekend, we've got a new film with Nicolas Cage, who was nominated for a Golden Globe for his role in this film. It's called Dream Scenario. And it's a very dark comedy, and it's kind of Nicolas Cage at his best. I feel like he's been in a lot of movies over the years that have ebbed and flowed in terms of the performance quality, but just kind of at his essence, he's such a great actor. And this film kind of just brings it all to the forefront. He plays this kind of unassuming, schlubby professor who's somewhat awkward and just doesn't really make much of an impression on people. And then suddenly he starts appearing in people's dreams. And he goes viral, of course, because that's the world that we live in. And everything seems great. And he's super excited at his newfound fame until it takes sort of a dark turn where things start happening in the dreams that are not benign any longer. But he has just such a capacity, just the way he expresses himself and the way he embodies these characters. Like, this is just a quintessential Nicolas Cage film. And it's really fun to be able to bring it to the screen and share it with the community this weekend.
Well, I'm a big fan of Nicolas Cage, and I love that he's doing a dark comedy because he's actually quite funny, especially when he's really giving it all in these roles. So that's excellent. Can you tell us about showtimes where we can get tickets?
Sure. So you can go to parkcityfilm.org and get your tickets in advance, of course. We start selling our tickets an hour before showtime, which is Friday and Saturday at 7, and then again Sunday at 6. We have quite a large auditorium theater. You can see behind me here. So don't be shy about just showing up to the box office and getting your tickets. If you have a sudden change of plans or just want to bring some more friends and family along with you, we definitely have space to accommodate you. And it'll be great to have you in the theater as we kick off the new year with this great new film.
Now, you mentioned gearing up for Sundance. What is Park City Film doing? How can we get involved? Tell me all of the details.
Sure. Before we get to that, though, we do have one more film coming up next week before I see you again on Thursday. And this is part of our Raising Voices film series, where we showcase and celebrate communities and cultures that are traditionally have not been represented well or underrepresented on the big screen. So this is a documentary called Full Circle. It's on January 11th, which is a Thursday night at 7. It's a free screening, and it's a really powerful documentary that I got to see at Mountain Film in Telluride last year. And it kind of follows the parallel stories of snowboarder Trevor Kennison and Barry Corbett of Corbett's Couloir fame at Jackson Hole, who was a mountaineer, skier, all of these great things, just kind of this mountain man extraordinaire. But the two of them, their lives intersect in that they both suffered from spinal cord injuries, which rendered them paralyzed. And Barry became kind of at the forefront, a pioneer in how one could still live this adventurous, passionate life with the spinal cord injury. And it's just interesting to see how his legacy has carried on in Trevor and how he embraces the fullness of his life and doesn't let this injury kind of hold him back from achieving his dreams. So really, really incredibly powerful film. We'll be joined after the film by some adaptive athletes, from the National Ability Center. So I think for our community, it's kind of a great way to celebrate all of the things that we love in our community, including the National Ability Center, and just following your passion no matter what it takes. So that's a pretty exciting thing that we have coming up. But for Sundance, we are closing down for the festival, of course. We turn over into the Sundance Film Festival venue, but we run all the concessions. It's our biggest fundraiser of the year, and we are still looking for volunteers to fill some of those slots, which are super fun. A great way to engage with the festival in a different way. And you go to parkcityfilm.org and click on the volunteer tab. It'll show you all of the slots that we still have available. They're about 4 hours long. And in exchange for your time and energy and passion for independent cinema, you either get free tickets to the festival or free tickets to Park City Film to come back and see these great films again once all the crowds have abated.
Well, it sounds like a really great option, especially being able to give back and to be around such an interesting group of people that will be in town. So again, Katie, tell us where we can go for this weekend's films, for the Raising Voices series, and details about volunteering.
Parkcityfilm.org for all that information. You'll see all of our films up there. You can register in advance, as I mentioned, or just show up. We'd be happy to accommodate you. We've got plenty of space. And then the volunteer tab in the upper right-hand corner of our website will show the schedule for the Sundance Film Festival. And again, it's just a really fun way to see the festival from just a different side. You get to engage with film lovers from all over the world. Some of them are famous, some are soon to be famous, some of them are just average people like you and I. But it's just the passion for film joins us together, and it's just such a fun community environment that, you think the Sundance Film Festival, it's so big and stellar and shiny and bright, but this is kind of a way to kind of get in on the inside.
Well, I love just specifically what you said. Park City Film and Sundance really highlights these up and coming and incredible independent films that are not necessarily shown on the mainstream. And so I love the work that you're doing. And Katie, we are excited for you. It's going to be a great 2024. Thanks for joining us this morning.
Thank you so much. Happy New Year.
Happy New Year to you as well. Now stay tuned. We've got a bit more here on the show. We'll be right back after this.
So what are we going to make today?
So, it's holidays are over. We've probably been so sick of all the sweet things and all of the different things to indulge in. But today we are going to make a twice baked stuffed potato.
Wow, say that.
Twice baked stuffed potato. Hard to say, right?
Nice. It's great this time of year. That's something nice and hearty and hot and
and during the week it's super easy to prep ahead of time and just, feel warm and comfortable and cozy. I don't know, those are the things that I look for in the month of January.
Yeah, nice and comfortable and cozy. So what are we going to put in this dish, Kim?
So this dish only includes about 5 ingredients, but you can really make it as complicated or as complex as you'd like.
Okay.
But you would start with a potato. We have russet potatoes here today, but you can do sweet potatoes or really whatever you like to, whatever your preference is. Do you have a preference?
No, I think these are great because they've got good size to them. So you can, if you're looking to stuff them, you've got a lot of room in there to put some of your goodies.
Yeah, absolutely. And typical twice baked potatoes, usually you'll bake it and then you'll scoop it out and you'll turn it into mashed potatoes and restuff them. We're not going to do that today. This is going to be a very quick and easy weeknight meal, or if you're hosting, for football games, because we have a few coming up. This is a great way to just make a big batch very quickly for all of your friends and family that you might be hosting, or if you're just watching it by yourself.
Okay.
Yeah.
Perfect.
So we'll get started. So there are a couple of ways to heat up your potatoes. So you can do it, if you want to do it the long way, and because it's a twice baked potato, you can pop it into the oven for an hour at 375. And what you would typically do is coat the potato in olive oil and some salt just to give it a little extra flavor.
Okay.
Or if you're pressed on time, you can throw it in the microwave for 15 minutes.
Okay, which is what we did.
It is what we did.
I see some fork marks in here.
Yep.
So we've kind of put some fork marks in it so that microwave, that heat can get in there and actually bake it where we need to go. We've got one more here in the microwave. Let me grab that one out.
And so this recipe calls for about four servings initially, but really, you don't have to measure things out. You just kind of make sure that it's, proportionate and what you feel is right. So we've got our potatoes already baked. What we're going to do from there is then we've got shredded chicken. We're doing a barbecue chicken stuffing.
Nice.
So very easy. I grabbed a rotisserie chicken, shredded it up last night.
So you don't have to go through the baking of the chicken, which can take like an hour or longer depending on the size of the chicken. You've got everything ready to go.
Everything is ready to go. You
Okay.
can make this a very long and complex process, or you can just do the potatoes in the microwave, grab your rotisserie chicken, you've got it
Okay.
all shredded up, which we've got it here. So we're gonna go ahead and spin, oh, don't wanna cut myself with
Nope,
this knife
don't wanna
here.
do that.
We're gonna go ahead and spin this out. So it's been, it's cooled down, and you just kind of get that all shredded in this medium-sized bowl. And then we're doing barbecue sauce. Do you like barbecue?
I love, and I love this brand too, Stubbs Barbecue.
I do too. And you know what I love about it is they have a sugar-free brand, which we did not get this time around because I figured, it's
Yeah, let's
it's snowing
splurge. It's the
outside.
holidays
Let's
still.
splurge. We're all going to be out on the mountain to burn off those extra calories, anyways. But they do have a sugar-free brand, which I love as well. So
Okay.
and lots of different flavors. So you'll take about a half a cup of the barbecue sauce,
Okay.
Or the great thing about cooking when you're not baking is you can put as much or as little of the ingredient into it as you want.
So here's our half cup,
I've got the
and
half
we are
cup.
just going to do it this way.
Kevin, what I'm learning about Kevin in the kitchen is he does not use measurements. But for those of you that do, I would use about a half a cup for a shredded rotisserie chicken. And then you kind of mix it around and see if that's what you feel good about. And we can always add more. And, I personally think we're going to need to add some more.
You think so? Okay.
I think so.
You know how easy that is.
Yep.
It's just this easy.
It's just that easy.
You see, you need a little more.
A little bit more, why not? And one of the things that makes this special, and we've talked about this the last time that you and I cooked a savory dish in the kitchen together, is garlic, fresh garlic. This is always a game changer. So I've got about 2 cloves of garlic in here as well, and I'm just going to add it into my shredded chicken. Because who doesn't like a little extra layer of flavoring?
I know.
It's just quite delicious.
So I see a jalapeno,
Yep, we've got a jalapeno.
onion. What are we doing with those?
So these are going to be our fun toppings.
Okay.
For our baked potatoes. So we've got the red onion because, have you ever had a barbecue chicken pizza where
Oh,
you
yeah.
throw a little bit of the red onion on top? It gives a nice
Delicious.
little bite and a crisp there. And then the jalapenos, I like a little bit of spice on everything that I do. So
You're spicy.
it goes with the hair color, with the red hair. And then we've got a cheddar cheese as well. So but
And we're
really,
going to grate the cheese.
we're going to grate the
Okay.
cheese. We're going to dice up the jalapeno, and we're going to slice the onion.
Okay, well, I'll get started on that.
Okay.
One of the things I like to do, if you're cutting on a cutting board, sometimes on a countertop it can be move around. And you want to be safe because if you've got a sharp knife and you're cutting, you don't want it to move around. I'll get a paper towel and just damp. And you put it down under your cutting board and it stabilizes
I love
so
that
it doesn't
kitchen hack.
scoot around.
That's
'Cause
great.
you got to be careful in the kitchen.
You really do. So, Kevin, I have a question. Talk to me about your knife skills with cutting the onion.
Well, knife
What's the
skills,
trick?
cutting onion. Well, first of all, you want to use a sharp knife. Every time you cut, you want a sharp knife. A dull tool is more dangerous than a sharp tool. And that is because if it's sharp, you let the tool do its thing. If it's dull, you're having to push down, and that can create something to slide or something to roll and turn. So whenever you do cut, you want to be safe. And on this onion, for example, taking off the end, taking off the outer skin so that you have a flat surface to cut down on. And if you cut down on the stem, and again, tip down as far as the knife blade goes and just follow through, and it'll give you 2 nice halves. Again, nice flat surfaces that you can cut from. So once you lay those down, again, you go down with your blade.
Looking great. And that's one of the tricks. When you cut it along the way of the root, it actually, and also you were mentioning from a onions and a crying perspective, if you cut it along the way of the root and then you cut it with a sharp knife, it eliminates some of those odors.
Right, yeah, as you have a sharp knife and you don't press so you don't get a lot of the liquid that comes out that will make you tear up. And then if you're cutting sideways, again, if you have your fingers on there, the likelihood of cutting your fingers is very great. So you just use the palm of your hand and you can cut through this way,
Just like that.
all the way. And then it's straight down from there. So again, keep your tip down of the knife and just follow through like
Absolutely.
this.
And now this is just going to be a topping, so we can really dice up or have as little as we need for this. And I feel like, for me, about a half of a medium-sized red onion is always good for toppings here. Now, Kevin, I have a question for you. Have you heard of the trick wetting a paper towel and putting it next to the onion while you're cutting it to eliminate the tears.
Oh yeah, that does not work.
I don't know. I think
So-
I've tried it once or twice, and I thought it did work.
You did? Okay, we'll
But,
go
you
with
know,
that then.
We'll go with it, whatever floats your boat, right? So Kevin is dicing up the onion here, and then I'm going to finish stirring in this delicious barbecue sauce into our chicken. While he's doing that, we've got the onion nice and diced, and then we're going to dice up some jalapeno, and then I'll also shred a little bit of cheddar cheese to put on top of our stuffed potatoes. So looking good here. Basically, everything is already prepared. We don't need to cook anything. We've already cooked our potatoes in the microwave. What we're going to do is just put everything together and then pop it into the oven and until the cheese is melted. So chicken is ready.
Mm-hmm.
I'm
That
going to
looks
go
good.
ahead and shred some of the cheese here. So I've got a cheese grater. You know, I prefer to do block cheese instead of the already shredded, but if you, in the essence of time, want to use the already shredded, you can do that as well. I think they just add a little bit of extra stuff to it.
Yeah. One thing too, when I grate cheese, one thing I like to do is keep it in the refrigerator a little bit. It firms it up so it grates a little bit,
It does.
a little bit easier.
So we're probably going to shred about a half a block here because we've got 4 potatoes. I like a good cheesy potato. But again, if you wanted to make this healthier, you could do a sweet potato, sugar-free barbecue sauce, and not as much cheese.
We don't want to make it healthy.
No, we don't. This is comfort food at its finest. That's what we apparently,
Still holidays.
That's what we apparently like to do here. So Kevin, I have a question. What's your secret with cutting a jalapeno and avoiding the spice?
Well, I love the spice of a jalapeno. The one thing you want to do
Not touch your eyes after
before
you
and
cut.
after is wash your hands very, very well.
Absolutely. And we've also washed the jalapeno as well with just rinsing off with some water and some vegetable wash as well.
Yep. So basically after I half it and take out the seeds, you just go kind of lengthwise. And again, knife skills, keep the tip down on the knife, keep the tips of your fingers out of the way and tucked in, and that kind of gives you the strips then that you can dice on.
And watching you cut, I love you're keeping the blade of the knife against your top knuckle of your finger, so it's avoiding cutting off your fingertips.
Right.
And that is the secret to avoiding kitchen accidents.
Yeah, you don't need the knife to come up. Like a lot of people start hacking down on it, but I mean, when you're doing these jalapenos, maybe a ½ inch off the board, and then you tuck your fingers in.
Looking
And
great.
again, just
So-
letting the knife do its work. Because this is a nice sharp knife, Kim. Good job on the knife.
I try. You know, I'm learning. My dad taught me how to keep my knives sharp, so I make sure that I do that when I am cooking in the kitchen. So it looks like we've got all of our toppings prepared. I've
Yep.
just shredded a bunch of cheese, and we did a lot of it there, so it's going to be a good one, nice and cheesy.
Good cheese, a little
Yeah,
cheesy.
we've got all the cheese. So the next trick is with the potatoes. So we are just going to take a paring knife, which we've got right here, and we're going to take this paring knife, and this is the easy part. You're just going to slice it just along the top here. So they're already cooked. We've got a nice slice there, and you don't want to go all the way through because you don't want to cut a hole in the bottom.
Right.
And then you're just going to push it open. So if it's like super fresh and hot, you're just going to go like that, push it open a little bit, you mash out the inside. You can take the spoon if you need to really get in there. Yeah, we just kind of pop it open.
Okay.
Just like that, and then we're gonna just stuff it with the chicken, and then we're gonna stuff it with, and then top it with the jalapeno and the red onion, and pop it back into the oven for about 15 minutes. Yep, just like that. That's
Okay.
perfect. Right. You're better at the pushing than
Pushing,
I am.
the squeezing of the
The
potato.
squeezing. So we'll go ahead and start spooning some of that in here. And I
Okay.
like to add a little extra salt and pepper into the inside of my potato, because who doesn't love a little bit more flavor, right?
I'll slice and squeeze.
You slice and
you,
squeeze.
You season it up.
I'll season it up. I know that we put garlic, freshly cut garlic, into the chicken mixture, but I like to add a little bit of extra.
Never
garlic
too much
butter.
garlic.
Never too much garlic. It's true. Are you Italian?
Italiano.
I feel like Italians use a lot of garlic in everything they do. All right, there we go. So we've got it. That first one, I'm just going to go ahead and spoon some of this chicken mixture into that. And you can really go as much or as little as you want to. We're going to just keep spooning it in there. We've got plenty of chicken. So
a lot of chicken there.
a lot of chicken here in it. So you just kind of spoon it, stuff it, and then we'll top a little bit with the shredded cheese,
Okay.
just like that. We'll add a little of the red onion, a little of the jalapeno. That's looking great. Yeah, looks perfect. A little jalapeno,
Just a
no
little
pressure.
jalapeno.
No pressure, Kevin. Don't put too much on there.
Whoa, look at that.
That's the first one, and
Okay.
then once we finish stuffing all of these, we'll pop them in the oven, let the cheese melt, let all the flavors meld together, and we are good to go after that. And so it's an easy, fun weeknight meal, and you can almost do a stuffed potato bar if you wanted to. So
Oh, that's a good idea. You
Yeah.
can have the toppings separate so people can just choose what they want on.
that's exactly right.
Love
Well,
that idea.
I can't wait to see what this looks like when we're done with it in the oven, but I am already hungry. Forget breakfast. I'm skipping
Yeah,
that
this is
one.
breakfast
We're
right
going
here.
straight
Breakfast,
in. Straight in for the protein and the carbs to get ready for that snow that is falling out there so we can hit the slopes. Lots happening, so we'll be right back after this. It's been a great Friday morning edition of Wasatch Weekends. I hope you liked that recipe of the stuffed potato. It's a quite delicious, easy weeknight meal or to make on the weekends after a day on the slopes. I'm your host, Kimberly Perot, and we'll see you next time.